What's up, guys? It's been a while since I've made a video. To be honest, working on the car is enough, let alone editing YouTube videos. Much respect for all the people with major channels out there. But anyway, since the last time I made a video, if you guys are on the forums at all, you've seen the brakes. Went through a big learning curve there, ordering from an eBay seller who didn't know BMWs, and found out that my 535, most likely from the factory, comes with the type of brakes that you normally see on a 550, where it has the same outside diameter or same rotor size, but the inner hub is a smaller diameter, which allows for a bigger caliper. So that's an upgrade for any of you guys with the 535 with your standard brakes, or a 528 or what have you. You can actually get the 550 caliper and the 550 front rotors, and you can see how massive my caliper is compared to a standard 5 Series with the smaller version on it. So that was a pretty cool upgrade overall. The pads and the rotors all the way around were pretty inexpensive. I took the time to paint each component, pull it and do each component, and at the same time I did stainless steel brake lines, which I learned letting air out of your master cylinder requires ISTA to get that back, so I got ISTA now. But I was able to paint the retention spring, the calipers themselves, and everything individually. So that's what I got going on with the 535. But this video is mainly, more than that, is just watching everybody on the forums and seeing them talk about going bigger turbo and trying to hit 500 wheel horsepower. Kind of convinced me that, especially why I bought this car. I bought this car to be able to take my family, to seat everybody. It's been a blast. It's a 6-speed, and so I enjoy that as well too. But I'm kind of tipping on the point of not being able to daily drive this anymore if I do too much more. I think I'm probably going to do a Turbo Smart blow-off valve, which I'll do an install video on, tint the windows, but I think after that I'm virtually done with this. Thought about short shift, but then if my wife wants to drive it, or maybe I'll teach my 15-year-old who's going to be 16 how to drive this thing. Not sure that that's probably the best thing to do. So anyways, kind of reaching the limits on this, and so wanted to show you guys what I got going on over here. The garage is a mess, but here we go. This is what I picked up the other day. Got this from Louisville on Craigslist Marketplace, 87 3 Series. So this is going to be the new project. Before I get too much into that, obviously with the project, I need somewhere to put it and work on it. So this is what has been taking up most of my time right now. So did a lot of research online about two-post lifts, clearances, everything. I'll include a link in the description. But right now I'm going through and essentially just trying to get everything lined up, hooked out. I put in my first redhead, and have placed it. So essentially what I did is I debated. I was going through paralysis from analysis, trying to figure out where to put this thing. I thought about putting it at an angle, and I finally decided, hey, this is going to be the main feature of the garage, so why don't I ignore all the crap that's around it and place this so that it can be utilized the best way possible, meaning I can fit pretty much anything in here. So I've got it placed to where if I remove the cabinets back there, maybe swap them out and swap that stuff out, if I ever had a Suburban, I can actually fit a Suburban in here and lift that Suburban. This is a 10,000 pound lift. Suburban's like 5,500. I think a dually F350 is like 7,500. So I'll be able to pretty much put anything, normal vehicle on this thing. Had to do obviously some modifications, and I've just started some of those. First one is the first thing I did was the garage door. I actually took the track, as you see they're split up here in half, and I took that piece out and flipped it around the other way, and so that curve is now up there at the top. So what that does is allow clearance for the garage door to come up and out of the way. Doesn't open 100% of the way. I got to sort that out. I got to move this motor here, right there, back out of the way, get an extension, bring this rail right here down a little bit so that the door will clear the rail, and then I'll be able to get that up out of the way. There's actually some conversion kits. I haven't spent $1 on doing this yet, but it'll easily accommodate putting this thing up in the air with the garage open. The plan is to put this thing on the lift up in the air and park the F10 over here underneath this, so then my wife can get her van back in the garage. Right now, as you can see, I've pretty much taken over everything. So that was a major component of it. Also swapped out the lighting. 8 LED 4-foot bulbs with the cables and everything was like $50 on Amazon. Got this place lit up like a operating room. It's pretty sweet. So other than that, 220 was the next thing that I had to look at. This is a 220 volt. So you need a 30 amp 2-pole breaker. And so my box was virtually full. So I swapped out a tandem 15, and I've got another tandem 15 in here I'm going to put, and then I will be able to fit this 30. Going to come up out of here with that 32 pole into a J box and run conduit up the wall, across the ceiling, and over here to the post. So the power unit goes on the back of the post, and that's over here. And so I'll get that wired up. And the plan is instead of just wiring it straight into the power unit, I'm going to mount this J box and grab 220 so that I have a plug-in for my welder. So I got to get a 220 volt welder so that I can fix some of the rust that's on this thing and do roll cage and all that stuff. So there's my 220 volt, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the arms are adjustable, so you can bring a car in and lift it up symmetrically or asymmetrically. Push these arms out of the way off these pins here, pull your car in, and so I have a lot of flexibility about where the car actually ends up in the garage. But as far as storage, I know this was a topic that I discussed with the manufacturer. When you are doing a hydraulic lift and these cylinders are raising it up via the chain drive, you're only doing that to get it initially to where you want it to go. After that, you drop it onto these, onto the safety latches, and that's where you're resting things. You're not resting it on the hydraulic. So there's no problem with storing a car up in the air on those locks. So that was one thing that I had to look into. But as far as the project itself, this is going to be a long build. I've owned 2 other 330s. I had a E30 M3 and an E30 325, and absolutely loved them. And believe it or not, the M3 was just a little bit too slow. Yeah, don't shoot me. So I'm looking to go with more power. Shout out to Garageaholic Frank for the inspiration on the N54. Also looking at YouTube and seeing another guy. He actually had a 325 iX with a M50 big turbo, and he swapped in a DCT tranny. So dual clutch transmission, all-wheel drive, running 2.20 to 60 in a 9-second quarter mile. I'm going a little bit different direction on the motor, going N54 twin turbo and keeping it twin turbo, but I'm going to be pulling that from an E90X 335iX to get the all-wheel drive. It's going to be a ton of work. It's going to take a heck of a long time, but this is kind of the start of documenting everything I got to do to get this done. This car, picked it up for $500. I got the wiring harness, the engine loom. I have the ABS module that went there. It had the straight 6 intake manifold. Just parting out those parts will pay for the car and the trailer I had to rent to bring it down here. So that's exciting. So already money ahead on my project, which is going to be the last time I'll be money ahead. But there's more kits coming out for engine mounts and subframes for the N54. They're becoming more and more popular. I haven't seen an N54 all-wheel drive swap though, so we'll be looking at that. That's going to be fun. But overall, the car's condition isn't that bad. I mean, there's some rust definitely, but everything's pretty solid. All the VINs match. Got a title, and hasn't been registered or run on the road in 20 years. So the guy I bought it from was going to put an LS1 in it, and he got other ideas and other projects. Hopefully I'm able to finish that. So anyways, I will do another update video once I get all this installed. I'm pretty much down, got all the hard work figured out. But as far as the lift itself, $1,500 if you go and pick it up at one of their terminals. If you need to get it shipped, it's an extra $200, so I saved $200 by picking that up. I'll post some pics of that on a trailer. It was a wild drive back from Atlanta on a trailer that was gave me the death wobble. I was 45 miles an hour from Atlanta back to Chattanooga. So anyways, just an update on the project, and I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks a lot. Bye. So just like that, the lift is done. Before I put the dust cover on, I wanted to just do a quick breakdown of it. It's, as I mentioned, symmetrical and asymmetrical possibilities depending on where you put the arms. When you lower it all the way down, the bottom of these pins hit on the plate and unlock the arms so they're free moving when it's all the way down on the ground, which is kind of nice. And then as soon as you go up, they lock into place. You can hear the clicking onto this on the safety latches. So as soon as I get a hit on the safety latch, lower the lift, and it will rest on that. I had to adjust these cables back here. These cables run through the base plate and up around the other side to keep these arms level. And so you're gonna have to set that up initially. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get those adjusted, but they're all adjusted. And then as far as the lift itself, it's just a hydraulic drive, hydraulic cylinder, and it's a chain tension, so it's pulling this chain and lifting this whole entire unit here. But it's pretty sweet. I like it. It's got these handles here, a tool tray on both sides. I've got comes with some adapters if you need to adjust the height of your pads, and these pads are adjustable somewhat. As far as the power, just like I mentioned, I've got a 220 right here. I just hardwired this and did some conduit over to a J-box over there. But I think the electrical turned out pretty nice, so I'll be able to plug in my welder here. And so to get it up off, just take it up off the safety latches. Pull those guys, and then I'm able to drop it all the way down. Pretty slow. Maybe it'll go a little bit faster when it's got some weight on it, but definitely was a little bit nervous with having a couple kids running around here, but after messing with it and getting it all adjusted and bled and everything, I'm actually not really worried about safety at all, you know, as long as they don't try to run it or touch it. But it's pretty safe operation, I feel. She is done. Have barely any clearance up above. That's fairly tight. But I'm eventually going to move this guy back over here, get an extension. I have to close the garage door when it gets to a certain height because the tracks aren't set up correctly. I need to get that kit to get that garage door out of the way. But I can walk underneath of it and not really have to even duck. Definitely going to have to remove these cabinets here, which was part of the plan. I can probably leave those ones on the overhead there. But again, this is set up so if I wanted to pull a Suburban in, of course I'd have to take those cabinets out anyway for that. Theoretically, I could get that up in the air. So once you install, I'm doing daily checks for cracks, for different things, making sure that my bolts are staying at spec. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm getting excited to be able to start to use this. So eventually this guy here will go up there and the F10 will be parked underneath. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Man, if you have the clearance, this is a game changer for sure. So any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.